So, about 2 days ago, Dricus dropped this tweet saying this, and I quote, "Since this is a spectator sport, what do you guys think? At Strickland MMA or at Stylebender? Just for the record, it makes absolutely no difference to me. The result will be the same." And then Sean replied saying this, "Here's the thing, Dana himself said I won. The number says I won. I respected you before, I've respected you after, but this needs to be settled once and for all." And that's the interesting thing, right? They should do a rematch. But Israel Adesanya revealed he accepted a UFC 300 fight with Dricus du Plessis, but they didn't want it, which is valid by Dricus, by the way. That would have been a fast turnaround from UFC 297. So I guess the real question is, who is Dricus going to face next? Is it Israel Adesanya? Or is it a rematch with Sean Strickland? And if you ask me, and probably any typical MMA fan, they would probably tell you to run it back with Sean Strickland. I feel like you can't give Israel Adesanya an immediate rematch since Izzy is 4-3 in his last 7 fights. He's lost 2 defensives in 9 months and had a grand total of 0 defenses in his second reign. That's nowhere near dominant, let alone dominant enough to warrant a second immediate rematch. Sean deserves this rematch. Their fight at UFC 297 was razor close to the point where people were saying Sean got robbed or that he should have won. If Dricus wants to shut up all those doubters, he has to take this rematch with Sean Strickland, man. And dude, after watching it the first time, I thought it was 3-2 Strickland. Then I watched it again and I thought it was 3-2 DDP. Now if I watched it again, I just don't know who fucking won this fight. That's why we need this rematch, so we can find out who the real winner is. And come on, man, we have to do it. Bro, even Dana White said he thought Sean won the fight. Same thing with the MMA fan base, so it has to happen. I actually think this rematch will be bigger than the first fight. Sean is a draw, and I do believe it will make the UFC some serious coin. And if you ask me, I think Sean actually does way better in the rematch. And if I had to critique Strickland, it would be that he should have been more confident in his ability in the first fight. Specifically, I'm talking about surviving the aggressive exchanges in close range. I just think he realized it too late at round 5. Because if we're being completely honest, he could have gotten away with way more. I think Sean is now realizing that he may have been giving his opponent too much respect. And he is better than he thinks. The only person that has ever been able to walk him down was Alex Pereira. But I mean, he's twice his size, who can arguably make heavyweight. And he's a monster of a striker. But if you watch Sean's other fights, he really does pretty well. He needs to let his hands fly a little bit more. That's all I'm saying. And if I haven't made it completely obvious, of course, I'm picking Sean Strickland in this potential rematch if it does happen, since Sean was able to survive the grappling of Dricus, and like I said earlier, he's going to be more confident with his hands. So it's kind of hard not to pick Sean Strickland if you ask me, but if they do end up going the other route, which is Israel Adesanya, I would be pissed. But it is a big fight, so in reality I wouldn't be too mad, but like I said, he still doesn't deserve it. But if they potentially match up next, I would actually pick Dricus because of the wrestling. But granted, I'm not too confident on that pick. Dricus does leave himself wide open to be countered, but I think the wrestling aspect changes everything. Yes, we've seen Israel Adesanya deal with wrestlers like Marvin Mid-Vittori and Robert Whittaker, but their grappling is nothing compared to Dricus. Dricus will ground and pound if he gets the opportunity, and he goes for submission attempts. Robert Whittaker doesn't have any type of submission or ground and pound. And the same thing could be said about Marvin Vittori. And this dude almost locked up a rear naked choke, so that's saying a lot. But to play devil's advocate, like I said earlier, Israel can counter Dricus easily. Dricus is too wild and he leaves himself wide open to get hit. So I think that's what makes this fight so interesting, besides the beef, obviously. Regardless if Dricus should fight Sean Strickland next, But in reality, let's be real. The so-called super fight with Dricus versus Izzy is most likely gonna happen. There's a story there. It's gonna probably sell more pay-per-views. It's just in general a bigger fight. And I think Sean Strickland is probably gonna have to wait for his turn. That is if Israel decides to return or not. That's all what matters. If Izzy doesn't return in time, I do believe Sean will get the rematch. So I'm crossing my fingers for Sean Strickland versus Dricus too. But hey, I guess time will tell. But anyways guys, that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys on my next one.